Hey, what's up? It's Comic95 the Savior, and for those of you that are new to my channel, I want to explain that these are what I call journal videos, in which I kind of like either rant to you about what's going on in my day-to-day life, or I kind of like rant about a topic, tell you what's going on with me. I express myself as I'm writing in a journal. So yeah, I've talked about this person several times, and I swear I hate to dedicate a whole video to this topic, but I figured that it was interesting enough for me to mention it here, because honestly, I kind of saw myself in this situation, and I agree and disagree with certain things, but this video has to be the most wild one that I watched, that I literally found myself struggling to make it through to the end of it. And yes, it is about Kevin Samuels once again. So I'm making a whole video on this topic. Every once in a while I make a video that's completely unrelated to Japan, but in this case I'm actually going to bring the topic back to Japan and not so much keep it on the topic of women in general, foreign women, whatever. So I'm kind of talking about myself from this point. And what I wanted to, I guess before I go ahead, I should kind of introduce myself for anyone new here that, is watching my channel. So I'm 25 years old. I am a US citizen. I'm a black woman. Yeah, I have a degree. I have a bachelor's. I work. I don't have children. No baby daddy drama. None of that type of mess. So none of those little stereotypes, etc. Apply to me. I'm not a skinny girl, so that technically can, if you will. But trust me, my dating life is definitely not lacking in that area. But that's another story. So the biggest problem, I have really mixed feelings about this person. So don't get me wrong, I do not support people that, there's a fine line between so-called hypergamy and gold digging. And the problem with I feel his channel is that overall, what a lot of guys don't realize, his content isn't for them, because pretty much nobody watching, what high value man watches Kevin Samuels for starts? Exactly. The people that are like acting like hyenas in his little members only chat, because I watch his videos normally. I normally just listen to them as background, like while I'm getting ready or cleaning, because they're funny most of the time, and there is some truth to it. I have learned some things from it, but yeah, it's like the men that are so obsessed with him, like I even have some followers that are like loyal whatever to him, and it's like, you guys aren't high value men either. So I feel like there's a lot of broke, bitter, average to below average men that watch his content and feel like they can relate to, because they're hurt that women have rejected them because they don't make enough money, or they're not tall enough, or they're not handsome enough, or whatever the case is. And it's like, you do realize he's talking about men that women want. He's basically trying to make you understand that you're not worthy of the man that you want, which I can agree with that in one sense. I think some girls do need to be humbled. A lot of women want this perfect type of guy, and it's like, are you a perfect woman? So I totally understand that. Or women that don't understand that, women and men like different things. But the problem is that, as I said before, his content doesn't take into account that while he talks about modern women, there's modern men too. Men are not like how they used to be. For example, he goes back and forth on lots of different topics. I've listened to hours and hours of his stuff, and after listening to so much of what he has to say, you will actually see that he contradicts his own advice. For example, he talks about how, women are basically attracted to money and resources, and men are attracted to, youth, beauty, etc. But then when women call in and indirectly admit that they're dating somebody solely for the fact they have money, he's literally referred to women as being a gold digger, hung up, and ended the call. But then it's like, okay, your whole channel is based not around what women want, but specifically around the topic of so-called HVM, high value men, Henrys, whatever you want to call them type thing. So then when somebody calls in and indirectly basically says, I'm only dating this guy, I only like him because he has money, then you end the call with them. But you just said on your own, your whole theme on your channel is men do not like what women like. And basically, oh, your job, your career, whatever, doesn't matter. But then he also bashes women when they don't have a, education, a career, etc. And says, oh, well, you don't have this, so you're not deserving of whatever. But then when a woman does have an education, career, then it's, well, we don't care about, your education, whatever anyway, because you're not going to spend your money on us. But then on the other flip side of it, when women talk about wanting relationships, etc., This is where his advice literally makes no sense. So beyond that, one of the biggest issues with this channel, with him having people call in, you would notice he's never admitted to being wrong about anything. He's never wrong. He always has to be right. He doesn't change his mind or go back on opinions on anything. And if he's losing an argument, he somehow twists it to make it where the woman is going to be wrong. And this was one of those calls. I was thinking, like, this is so wild. And I went to the comment section, and either he deletes them or has, really strict requirements for his comments, or his followers are literally just that brainwashed and cold, which is why I shouldn't be watching this stuff. But like I said, I'm somebody that I take the little bit of good that comes out of it, and I laugh at the entertaining side of it, but I also find it rather sad too. So like I said, don't get me wrong, I totally agree that I feel like women aren't doing their part while still expecting men to do theirs. For example, a lot of women have the idea they want this guy to have money, etc., but then it's like, what do you bring to the table? I have female friends that are in their 30s that are, much older than I am, and when I talk to them, they want this super tall, buff, rich guy, but then they can't cook. They can't clean. They don't wear makeup. They don't dress nicely. They don't look feminine. One of them is really obese. It's like stank and everything else. And it's like, what rich? Because these guys are not rich. 100,000 is not rich. 200 is not rich. 300 is not rich. 400 is not rich. What guy making money like that wants you? A girl that can't even act feminine. A girl that can't take care of her body. Nobody. There's always going to be an exception to that rule, but generally speaking, who wants that? They don't. So I feel like there's some good to the content. It humbles and brings women back down to earth, but at the same time, it also doesn't take into account that different guys have different tastes and like different things. And on top of that, what else was I gonna say? Kind of like, I don't even know, this call really like frustrated me, because again, like, even if, because girls, you literally see that girls are calling in and trying to show that they're this so-called traditional old-fashioned like woman. So this girl called in, and he was like recording from an old video that he did a while ago and was using as an example for today's video. So you're not going to see this for a while, but the girl was calling in and talking about how she wants a relationship, and this is where her story was just like mine. She's a year younger than me, so she's 24, and she was talking about how she wants a relationship and how she's been going on about 3 dates a week and how they never result in a relationship. How after a couple of dates, the guy just wants to sleep with her, and they don't want to actually be boyfriend girlfriend. And so instead of him understanding, giving real advice, because he can't, and he knows that this is where guys are wrong on their end, he twisted it. He did a good job doing it too. He twisted it and turned the tables and made it seem like she is the one who's the bad person, referring to her as being a thief, basically, which was the theme of the video, because he was saying like, oh, you're playing the system. You're basically getting 3 free meals a week, using these guys for their resources. And it's like, that couldn't be further from the truth. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some girls that do that, but I can even admit that I normally go on more dates than that per week, and my reasoning in it is not for free food at all. I can buy my own shit. I order food all the time, and I cook all the time. I'm a great cook. I don't need to go out with some guy that's going to buy me a free meal. Not to mention, let's be realistic, you don't know where this girl's going on dates to. Sorry, but if you're a working girl with a degree, a little $20, $40 family restaurant meal, I can buy that myself. I can go out and get that with my friends for free even. That's nothing worth using somebody over and for. That's teenager type stuff, broke girl type stuff. But let's say that you are, okay. You're comparing, he did this in a video, he tried to compare a girl using a guy for these free meal tickets in comparison to, girls, using their body in exchange. So basically he was trying to say that if we're going to use men for their resources, that free meal with no commitment, because we're not boyfriend, girlfriend, but we're okay with them paying for the whole tab, is what he said, then we shouldn't have any problem with men not wanting to be boyfriend, girlfriend, no commitment, and having sex with us. Okay, but here goes 2 issues. A free meal does not put your body at risk of a pregnancy, the need to get an abortion, and or getting an STD. And on top of that, we also know, flip side, because Kevin Samuels talks about this too, men act like you have some sort of contagious disease if your body count goes beyond 3. And some dudes want you to be a virgin, which that makes no sense either, because it's like, okay, men want girls that are good in bed, and you're not going to get that from a virgin girl. And if she is a virgin, she's fucking lying to you. You're not going to give the same I can speak from personal experience. The blowjob that you gonna give your boyfriend the first time that you have sex, or even with your first partner, is not going to be the same with guy number 3, guy number 5, 10, whatever number you are on at this point in your life. Same thing goes for dudes. Men are not good sexual partners when they are virgins. After having sex with several different women over the course of years, having sex several different times, your performance improves. You can read about it, you can learn about it, you can watch it, whatever, but there's something about actually doing it. You need to have actual practice with these things. The quality of it will be totally different. But unlike women, which I won't lie, I do care about, the guy's experience in that sense, men do complain about women not being good sexual partners based on performance, not just body-wise. For example, generally speaking, as long as you're not selfish and bad, you go down on us as a girl, you got a big dick, for the most part, it's kind of hard to be a bad partner as a man, so to speak. But women have to do a lot more performance-wise, especially nowadays, because now you got dudes that want you to be able to, ride their dick and have mega knees and crap like that. But that's another story. And so we're not going to get into that part. My point is, okay, you're contradicting your own advice. Forget about my opinions. His advice doesn't even make sense. He's going back and forth. That is not even remotely the same thing. I get what you're trying to say, because that's what men ultimately want. Yeah, we get that. I'm not going to lie. Even when I go on a date, if I really like the guy, of course, I want to sleep with you too. But I'm also aware that, okay, it's a weird game. It's not even a catch-22. It's like a damned if you do, damned if you don't type situation. If you sleep with the guy, then he sees you as a whore. Oh, okay, well, she's easy. I don't want to be her boyfriend. But at the same time, if you don't put out, as he said, you don't sleep with him, then he feels like he got cheated and wasted his time and money on you all's little date. The purpose in dating is to get to know someone and decide if you're compatible and decide if you want to have a real relationship and then be boyfriend, girlfriend. And he basically tried to make it sound like, oh, boyfriend, girlfriend is just words. He can just tell you that you're going to sleep with him tonight type thing. So the girl was like, pretty much, well, yeah, you verbally told me it's a commitment. So he tried to make it sound like that was trash. But by that standards, then his whole channel was trashed in, because it's all about relationships and all about relationships leading to marriage. So if that's the case, then marriage shouldn't mean anything either. It's just a certificate. You see how his advice doesn't even make sense? And so I get what he's trying to say, because there are girls that do that. But let's be real. Speaking from a girl's perspective, ladies, how many of us are really using guys for, free meals and just to go out on dates? Pretty much none of us. Generally speaking, girls want to date guys for the purpose of having a real boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. Are some women doing that, using guys for that? Yeah, there most certainly are. But not even close to the number of guys that are using girls for free sex, basically. Because the reality is, guys are not putting out, paying money for the date to get free sex. To get sex, I should say. They're doing it to get cheap sex. Let's talk about the facts here. It's not just a matter of sleeping with you, because if that's the case, if they really want to save time, they would just go ahead and pay full price for an escort. But they don't want to do that. They want to save money and get a better looking woman by going for you. That's the part that this channel doesn't talk about. And so the other problem is that he makes it seem, which this doesn't make any sense either, he has talked to other girls in the past and have clowned them for, casually having sex, and talks about how, when a girl gets past, this age, the older she gets, the more partners she's had, etc. Then he also clowns them for being reserved and not having a lot of partners and not dating a lot, but calling them awkward and weird and this, that, and the other, and saying that they're wasting time and shaming them for it. So it's like, okay, this girl is literally saying, as she said in her own words, she's trying to maximize her options and date as many people as she can to at least her relationship. But then from his perspective, oh, you shouldn't be dating, 3 people a week then. You're playing the system. She's playing the system because she's young, she's 24, and she's trying to find an actual boyfriend. So what, I should date one person a week, a month, sleep with him, have him tell me, oh, I don't want to be your boyfriend, I just wanted to hit it and quit it, and then wait the next month to do it again? What difference does it make if I date 2 people this month, or if I date 10, if they're all going to ultimately say no? She's not cheating with anyone. There's no relationship. And according to her, she shouldn't even have sex with them. But let's say she's lying and she did. Okay, her goal is to find a real relationship. What are these guys' goal? To get cheap sex. They're paying for these dates to mislead you. And then when you say, oh, I'm not that type of girl, I'm not willing to do that, sorry, my arm itches, then it's like, oh, bye. He don't call them out for that. In fact, he actually says that they need to stop being nice guys and say exactly what they want. And so he accuses and blames her, saying that she knew that these guys just wanted sex. Actually, she probably didn't, because I can speak from personal experience. Normally, I call myself screening guys, and I ask a ton of questions, look through a ton of stuff, read their profiles carefully, online dating, etc. And you'll meet the guy, and then it'll turn out, sometimes not even on the first date, second, third date, they turn out to be an F-boy. I wouldn't have met them if I knew that was their intention. But you don't know because they hide the stuff from you. He also tells you not to make men of the future pay for the men of the past. So it's like your advice doesn't even make any sense. You tell girls to not judge, the current guy they're dating based off of the guys in the past, which would mean to assume that anybody that you're dating they have pure good intentions. Because just because the F-boys in the past did you wrong doesn't mean this guy's an F-boy. But at the same time, you're telling us we know who's just trying to sleep with us. So it's our fault if he does that. You're taking away all accountability from men and you're putting it on the women. As you said, men contract us to relationships. So with that said, we are the ones trying to do what we can to show them, hey, pick me, please date me, please be my girlfriend. And we still get played in the end. Sorry, but your little $20, $30 meal is not on par to me adding up my body count. Don't compare the two. And you know that those are not equivalent because he says it himself. He talks down on women that have had multiple partners. He talks down on women that get married later on in life because, you have somebody to scratch your itch, whatever type thing. So pick your poison and make up your mind. The other part that makes no sense too is he talks about why it makes sense to pay for escorts, etc., and how it shouldn't be looked down upon because it saves you time, resources, money, instead of having to wine and dine and date a girl for several, days, weeks, months, whatever. To get that, you can make a straightforward exchange. I pay you for this much time. I get my nut. I move on about my day in life. Okay, but then he'll turn around and judge that same woman for having that type of career, that type of lifestyle. So it's like the advice on his channel literally does not add up and doesn't make any sense. It's not on par. It doesn't add up in any type of way. And then the fact that he kept cutting off the girl, muting her, etc. And she's talking really nice, being humble, modest, whatever, which that's a joke too. So his whole thing is literally, and this is what's so wrong with the whole channel. He wants things to go back to the good old days where men controlled, dominated, bossed around women and could use the fact that they are the ones that are the breadwinner. They are the ones that are making all the money. They're the educated ones, and that without them you are nothing. He wants things to go back to those good old days because he didn't have that growing up. His mother was not married, and he went through his crap. That's what it really all comes down to. That's what he wants, because when you listen to his content, that's the type of woman that he wants you to be. He wants you to shut up, listen to him, obey him, etc. And that's what he wants you to be like inside your relationships. All these girls are calling in, trying to be pick-me's, etc., showing how modest and humble and feminine they are and how they're not dominant, while he's literally yelling at them, insulting them, calling them out their name, telling them what they are when he has no idea nothing about them. Where does that make her a bad person? Because she's gone on a date with more than one person? How many dates do these guys go on trying to get free pussy? Did you ask that question? Nope. The question is solely on you as a woman. Oh, you dated more than one guy. Or shoot, forget this. You're dating one guy a week will probably still be bad in his eyes. Your advice doesn't even make any sense. You tell girls not to waste their time and wait until they're in their 40s, start dating, looking for, married partner, etc. But then when women do maximize their options and try to meet as many men as they can in the hopes of finding a relationship, then you clown them for that too. I'm pretty sure if guy number one said, I want to be your boyfriend, asked her out, she would stop right there. But they don't do that. What guys do is they go out with you. Oh, you're cute. I like you. Okay. I'd rather pay this $40, $50 for that meal than have to pay that escort $300 to $600 for an hour. Because by paying you the $20, $30 and shoot, even pretending to be your boyfriend, I can have sex with you for as long as I want to. You probably look better than an escort too. And you're going to love me more passionately, be willing to kiss me and suck my dick, and we might not even have to use a condom because it's a real relationship. You'll be willing to do stuff that she cannot do, she being that escort. They realize that it's a better deal. It causes them to have to invest their time too. But in the end, the result is oftentimes better. And it's not embarrassing. Because men still have pride. Some men don't want to be seen with an escort, have somebody know that they're paying for that. And plus, theoretically, prostitution is supposed to be illegal in the U.S. But under the umbrella of escort, it's legal. and in certain places like Vegas or whatever it is. But yeah, it just really amazes me so much. It amazes me so much that the people watching his content, they don't realize that vice doesn't add up. And the fact that even for women, like for myself, I saw myself, because I'm dating right now, I'm single, and I'm thinking to myself, like, I want to get married. I'm trying to find a husband. I would be a fool to... I literally made a video about this a little while ago, about a month ago, talking about how, how I'm a whore for not, giving girlfriend benefits to a guy that I'm just dating, basically, which makes no sense. Men want you to act virgin-like forth. They want you to pretend like you're seeing no other guy but them, give your all to them, and even sleep with them. Because, of course, I'm no dummy. I know that your goal, just like how I'm on the date with you because I want to get married, I know that your goal is to sleep with me. I totally understand. Shoot, I want to have sex too, like how I said. But at the same time, I'm aware that unlike me as a woman, for you can separate sex and relationships. You just want to fuck me, and you want to be out that goddamn door. For me, I want this to be an ongoing thing. I want to really be with you. I am aware, because I've been burned in the past. I know that if I sleep with you, you are going to leave. So I would much rather hold off sleeping with you, let you leave, and wait for the guy that really wants to be with me. That's not cheating or being unfair, using your resource, whatever. Sorry, but 1 hour, less than an hour's working wage is not comparable to me raising my body count, risking getting pregnant. And then the fact that his channel talks about abortion like it's such an easy thing to do. Sorry, but not everybody's for abortion to begin with. And secondly, even for those of us that are, I don't think anybody wants to use abortion as a means of birth control. Not to mention, once again, he judges women based off of these things. So it's like it doesn't even make any sense. If you do get this stuff done, like an abortion, use birth control, have been with all of these different men, etc., you're judged for that as well. So by his standards, every guy that you date, you should be willing to give up the cookie for him in exchange for a $40 date. But then he'll also judge you for having slept with all of these men too. This is why you don't get advice from old people. Because it's like you can tell his information and advice is so outdated. It doesn't even make any sense. Because again, he's so busy trying to attack the idea of modern women, he forgot about what modern men are like. And then even the fact that he was like, well, if that's not the case, then you're not trying to use them, then fine, do 50-50. Okay, but hold on, Kevin. This goes against your advice, though. You said that you're not a 50-50 type of guy. You said it yourself. Not to mention, the other thing that makes no sense, too, is he specifically talks about how women like men for their resources. Men like women for their beauty. Why am I paying 50-50 now all of a sudden? Wouldn't that make the guy that expects that, because I'm not going to have sex with him, a modern man then? Because, sorry, Kevin, I'm going to break it to you. The advice you're giving men is modern men approach. Men back in the day did not sleep with women after having a date. That is not the way that dates went back in the 70s, 80s, I'd even argue the 90s. But that is not how dates went on in the 50s, 60s, 70s, or 80s. What world are you living in? See how his advice doesn't even add up? Ask your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents if they're still around. Ask them, did they have sex with your grandfather, your mother, your father, whatever, after the first, second, or third date? It did not happen. That is not the way that people dated back then. But nowadays, guys want to spend $20. Shoot, some of you want to split the bill with you and expect you to go and have sex with them. And it's the same issue here in Japan. That's modern men advice right there. Make it make sense, Kevin? Like, help us out here. I don't understand that. So, I just find that really interesting. So again, like, don't get me wrong, there are girls that are using guys for dates, using them just to have free food. But I can assure you that most of the women, especially not the ones calling in, that is not their intention. She's trying to use her time wisely. Because if this girl takes your advice, because he didn't even give an exact amount of dates, but let's say she took your advice, she's only dating one guy a month, 3 guys a month or something. Okay, then when she turns 27 or 28, what are you going to do? You're going to press that danger zone button and talk about she's wasting time and how she should have got married when she was younger, etc. But you told her not to maximize her options. You accused her of playing the system. Girls are not little kids waiting for a McDonald's Happy Meal. Especially not the girls that call in if they're telling the truth, allegedly. These women are educated and have careers. Sorry, but when you have a real job and you ain't like the little broke hyena men in your little membership only chat, we don't get excited over no goddamn $20. We're excited over the notion, this guy likes us enough to plan a date with us, to come pick us up and take us out. It is not a matter of us not being able to afford to go there ourselves. Shoot, nowadays a lot of us are more educated and make more money than the men that we're talking to. That's not the case. But his videos don't take any accountability for men. They can never be in the wrong. Instead, it's always the focus on, as he says, women get away with everything. Women are always the victim. So his whole goal on his channel is to flip the tables. And so, like I said, there are some truths to what he has to say, and I've talked about them before. For example, I liked how he had a video where I felt like it spoke to me, where he gave an analogy, an old analogy about how there was this mall or whatever. In each floor, there were tons of men available, and every floor you go up, the men available gets better and better and better until you reach the top floor and there's no more men available. And the rules of going inside the store was you cannot go back down another floor. So each floor you go up, the men get better. But then as a woman, you always want more. You want more and more and more and more. And then you make it to the top and it's like, oh, there's no more men. That was a really good analogy. I like that video. Totally cool with that. Agreed. But the other problem is, again, play devil's advocate. Let's flip the table. Men do the same thing now. Give them a perfect girl that looks bad, perfect body, perfect weight, perfect everything, good wife to him, cook, clean, everything. And what is he still going to do? Cheat. But again, according to Kevin Samuels, it's okay because men don't cheat. They exercise their options type bullshit. Yeah, right. But okay. At the same time, women aren't allowed to do this. That's why I said his whole idea of his channel is about bringing things back the way they used to be, but not just to make more marriages happen. He doesn't talk about the real reality of why people get divorced nowadays and about why marriages don't work like how they used to. The reason why people aren't getting married like how they used to is because women felt obligated to get married. They couldn't support themselves in a family. And honestly, it's still not easy. But it was taboo and unheard of back then. They didn't have the opportunities and the rights that they now have. And so I do feel like this has also hurt us at the same time. I agree with him to a certain extent. But the problem is he makes it seem like women are the sole reason why it's not happening. It's like, no, women were not just unable to work. They were dealing with abuse. And there wasn't any type of social, cultural understanding of it back then either. Women kept that type of stuff to themselves in their households. And you keep giving examples about, oh, your grandma, your aunt, your mom, whatever, they stayed to keep the family. Yeah, that's a problem. That's not a good thing. He says it like that's normal. Sorry, but I don't admire my grandparents for staying together and my grandma going through it being cheated on and abused. That's not admirable. That's sad. Sure, on the outside, you might think it looks good because you're legally married and she has access to his money. But what do you get out of it as a woman anymore? Women do not just care about money. Money is sweet and nice and all, but we care about the emotional side of things too. Because by that standard then, because how he sees it is, you should be happy that you have the money. Okay, well then we could flip that script too. Because as a woman, you should be happy that you have a beautiful wife. You know how many men complain about not having sex in their marriages and relationships? I could say that then. Well, you should be happy that your wife is beautiful and you have good looking kids. You don't need sex. Oh, you don't want to hear that part, though. Also, the talking about the filing of divorce. Why do women file for divorce? Because men are cheaters. Oh, you don't want to take accountability on that part. Because men are abusive. You don't want men to take accountability on that part. That's why women file for divorce. They're the ones that are normally the victims in their relationships, not the men. That's the reason why we file for divorce the most. It has nothing to do with us being these homewreckers, bad people, whatever. His channel doesn't take into account the fact that women go through violence, verbally, domestic abuse, physical, whatever you want to call it. Your grandparents staying together, unlike you, for the people that have gotten divorces, that's not a good thing. That's sad that your grandma felt like she had to do that. It's sad that your mom did. Japan is a country that goes through that too, and he uses Japan and Korea as an example, and it's like, that's not a good example. These are people in relationships where there's no love, there's no sex, there's nothing but cheating and the physical appearance of having your life together because you have a ring on your finger and a husband kinda by your side when he's not busy fucking Sachika. I don't look up to that. That's what I was telling you all right now. Because if I wanted that, then shoot, I can get married tomorrow. There's plenty of men, especially on the dating sites here in Japan, that want to get married right away. But that's the issue. I'm not getting married to somebody that's going to be a cheater. Defeats the purpose. Have you out there embarrassing me? Yes, men can do it anyway, but I'm not going to knowingly date somebody that I know wants to entertain other women. Likewise, most men don't want to knowingly marry a woman that they know is an escort or doing something like that. So it goes both ways. But yep, like I said, he doesn't want to hear that. That's not an argument allowed on his channel because he has to always be right in the end. So instead of him listen to her advice, not her advice, listen to her question, because she was being sweet and nice, even when he was being ignorant towards her, she remained, okay, so she said, hey, that doesn't answer my question. So what should I do? What's your advice for me? And instead, the whole conversation just became, you're a bad woman. You're taking advantage of men. You're a thief. You're using him for his free resources or whatever, free food, his money, whatever, without no commitment. So he has the right to use your body with no commitment. There isn't even consistency with that, because you want to know what the difference is? As a woman, you are dating him for the purpose of not just getting to know him and getting free food, as you say. You want to be his wife, his girlfriend, whatever. He is literally sleeping with you just to bust a nut. And even if you were desperate enough to want to F him again, he might not even want to see you again. He just wants to go with as many girls as he can for as little money as possible. Sorry, but women are not psychics. We cannot read minds. We don't know every guy's intention. And most men that are smart, unless they directly, bluntly say, hey, I want to F you, they normally hide their intention. They pretend like they want to be your boyfriend. They pretend like they want to get to know you, and they offer to go out on a date with you. They ask you a few questions, etc. They'll even pretend that they want to be your boyfriend. Sometimes they'll even say, look, you're my girlfriend, you're whatever. Be cheating on you, lying on you to your face, behind your back, whatever. And then the women take the blame for not being psychics, for not being God, not knowing. I totally agree if the guy was upfront and look, I want to have sex with you. Then sure, fine, I totally agree with what he's saying. But it sounds like that's not the case. If she's anything like me, she's dating guys with the intention of wanting to be their girlfriend, with the intention of wanting to be their wife, having a serious relationship. It's just not working out for her. She asked you for real advice, but his advice was instead, stop being a thief, quit using men for free meals. Meeting people makes me a thief? Sorry, but this is the 21st century and dating is a thing whether you like it or not. Your parents dated too. And you want to know what they did? The guy paid for the date, took you out, got to know you. And if your parents are like anybody else's, for the most part, they did not have one night stands and just sleep with you, or even if, for real relationships. People did not commonly go on a first date or go on a second date and have sex immediately afterwards. In no country or culture. Please stop with that bullshit. Don't get me wrong. People are dating longer nowadays. They are taking longer to get engaged and spending more time engaged than they did back in the day. But dating is not some sort of new concept. And neither is the idea of waiting to have sex either. That is a modern man type of thing. That whole date, have sex right after the meal type thing. Or shoot, fuck the meal. Go out for a coffee and sleep with me afterwards. That is a new modern man type concept. And so is the idea of splitting things 50-50. Which you seem to be in agreement with that when you're not getting sex out of it. Then all of a sudden, you're okay with being a modern man, according to you. So... it doesn't even make any sense, because it's not even just a matter of that. It's the fact that he will judge you either way it goes. So if you don't date enough, you're judged for wasting your time being a dumb woman. You date too much, then you're blamed for the fact that men don't want to be serious with you. And instead of him taking accountability or taking, be like, hey, men are bogus for that. Instead, you get blamed for it, because, you shouldn't have been dating that many guys if you wanted a boyfriend. That's like saying if you wanted a job, you shouldn't have put out that many applications for work. The more job applications you put out into the world, the more likely somebody is to call you back and offer you a job. If you just put out one application and wait a month, is that going to change the fact that that company was never going to hire you? No. They're not going to say, well, Ren only put out one application after the past 6 months. She must really want to be our employee. You know what? Let me get back to that hoe. They're not going to do that. They don't care. They don't notice. They don't know how many jobs you applied to. This is for you. The guys that you are dating, they don't know you dated 3 other dudes. They don't know whether you slept with them or not. I don't know if you dating other girls, if you're sleeping with them or not. It ain't none of my business. But you want to know what? If you are an F-boy, guess what? I didn't put all my eggs into one basket. Sure, you might have told me after the first date, hey, I want to sleep with you, whatever. You made it very clear that you're just wasting my time. Okay, that's fine, because I have another date planned for tomorrow, and hopefully that works out. It ain't got crap to do with the food. The reality is, when you are dating somebody and getting to know them, just like with business too, we oftentimes want to sit down, be able to eat and drink and converse over food. It makes us feel comfortable and relaxed. We can talk about the ambience, the restaurant, the food, etc. It is a good, fun, casual, easy way to get to know each other without getting our bodies entangled and doing inappropriate crap and putting ourselves at risk for different things. And shoot, at least I'm living in Japan. The US is a much more dangerous place to be sleeping with people like that. Y'all have a much higher rate of STDs, pregnancy, and everything else. Getting an abortion is not that easy, sorry, and nobody wants to have to go through that. It's traumatic. And again, some of us are against it, like myself. Keeping it real with that. Now I'm going to ruffle a lot of feathers, but I'm being honest with myself. So, it really doesn't make any sense, because, like, okay, you tell women that they're bad for sleeping around, but then you also say that, well, sleeping with a guy on the first day is no different, than you allow him to pay for the meal. Two completely different things. Crazy, outrageous advice. But whatever, that's his cult for you. They'll believe, worship, follow everything that he has to say. So I'm just going around talking in circles. But like I said, that really struck a nerve for me, because I'm going to be honest, I saw myself in that. I'm like, okay, I'm a year older than her, and I'm pretty much doing the exact same thing. And I'm pretty sure it's for the same reason too. It ain't got nothing to do with getting free meal tickets or whatever. It's a matter of trying to get to know people. That's why you go on a date. I could buy myself food. I just got through buying myself food today. I don't need a guy to do that for me. That's not my goal or intention. If I wanted to use men for dates, if I was really using them for food, we ain't spending less than $100 then. For my plate alone. Forget yours. I'm not going to tell you, oh, whatever you choose is okay. I'm going to choose the restaurant. You're going to be making a reservation, and it's going to be 5-star quality food only. Forget about food. I don't want food. Buy me a handbag. Buy me some shoes then. If my goal is to use you like how you're using me, if I knew that your goal was to do that, I wouldn't even accept a meal. Forget that. Food would not be an option. I would say clothes only, makeup only, money only. That's what you guys are trying to do. So, I just feel like so frustrated just like thinking about it, but that really like got to me. So, and again, like this is coming from, me myself. I'm in Japan. And of course, I have plenty of time, and I know that I'm attractive. I have plenty of options for dating people, etc. But even for myself, and my patrons already know this, it doesn't matter like how many people like you talk to or go through like anything like that with. It seems like, how can I say, inevitably, I would say 9 out of 10, if not like 9.5 out of 10 of the people that you talk to, they're going to be an F-boy. It's not going to be where it's like, oh, well, if you slept with him, he would have been your boyfriend. No, trust me, I know from personal experience. Trial and error, people. I've been there, done that. It will not turn into a relationship. It rarely happens. Because I totally understand like the whole, oh, I want to see if we're compatible. I want to see, your body's like whatever. I want to see if we're lucky. Because I get it. Guys like sex. They like beauty. I totally understand why they want to do that with you, because even for myself, I'm worried about that too. I don't want to get seriously involved with somebody, turn out that your dick is small, you got weak, whatever dick game. Totally understand. Your strokes are weak, not good at eating out. I totally get it. Totally get it. But at the same time, I have to protect myself. Your money that you spent on me was nothing. It's not even a day's wages for most of you all. Sometimes not even a full hour's wage, or even half a day. You spend almost no money on me. And again, sorry, we have jobs and work too. Your little bit of money that you shelled out, it just says to us that hopefully it weeds out the fact that you're not going to be serious. It tells us that, oh, the fact that he's willing to spend money on me, plan a date, he's more than likely more serious. But the reality is, I'm sorry, I'm getting all over the place. It doesn't even really do much nowadays, because it doesn't mean anything. Sleeping with you on the first date does not lead to a relationship. So his advice doesn't even make any sense. You're telling women to date guys. He literally did a video the other day trying to give modern women advice. Well, this contradicts things too. He talks about how modern women have to shoot their shot nowadays, etc. too. But then it's like the whole basis of your channel is about doing things the old-fashioned way. So why are you encouraging men to be pussies and act like bitches and wait for girls to approach them? And he talks about asking to go out on a date. But then at the same time, you judge women for dating guys and accuse them of, if they're going on a date, that their goal is to use him for his resources. Make it make sense. So, and of course, knowing him, he'll take whatever you say, twist and turn it to fit his narrative, and somehow magically make himself right in the end anyway. Because, for example, that conversation, I thought he was going to give her genuine advice. I thought she was asking a good, genuine question. Because I was thinking, like, shoot, that's my situation right now. But instead, it was like, somehow it went from that to you bashing and blaming her. And so it's like, oh, so now I see how it goes. When he's wrong, instead of just admitting, oh, that's a good point. Yeah, these guys are bad, whatever. He has to find a way to flip it back on you, because he cannot allow men to be in trouble, blamed for anything. It doesn't work that way on this channel. Anything that women do is wrong. Anything that men do is right. The only time you're semi on the right is if you're bowing down, allowing him to degrade you, talk negatively towards you, insult you, dehumanize you. He likes that. He likes that power control. And he doesn't like the idea of a woman having more education, more money than him, or even being equal to him, because then it challenges and threatens him. Not because it's masculine, because then it means he can't abuse you. And that's, the men that listen to it too. They want that. It's a bunch of broke men listen to it. But still, that's exactly what they want. They like the idea of a woman being beneath them. They want a woman that has no say in anything. They want a woman that is reliant on his resources, that this way he can cheat on you, he can lie to you, he can abuse you, whether it be physically or mentally, and you can't and won't be willing to do or say anything about it because you're weak and you're afraid. That's what he wants. And a lot of guys want that too. That's what old-fashioned relationships were like. Nowadays, we have movements, we have outlets, we have events as women, we can talk and get help. And that's why we divorce more often. That's why we're waiting longer to get married. That's why we're dating longer, to help weed out these guys. I feel for guys that are being used for meal tickets, being used like that. I don't want that to happen to my son. I totally understand. But I feel like his content is trying to compare women to men in that sense, and that's not the case. There's far less women using guys for that stuff in comparison to the men that are using women for sex. Because it's definitely more of a common thing for guys to be doing than women, by far. You also cannot compare you wasting $40 on a date to me raising my body count. Your money is replaceable. Getting an STD, getting pregnant, having to change the number of partners that I've had for you is not something that is replaceable. I can lie about these things. I can get lucky and have something that can be cured or get treatment for it, but it doesn't change what took place. And it wouldn't be the truth either. So it's just whatever. But I have to put out there for the guys, a girl going on dates with multiple people is no different than you filling out more than one application while you're jobless or looking for a better job. It's not a matter of us trying to compare, this guy took me to a steak restaurant, but this one took me to Italian food. But I like the guy that took me to the steak restaurant more. It's not that type of thing. We know that out of this bunch of guys, we're going to end up encountering 99% F-boys. We're trying to find a boyfriend. We want to use our time wisely. If you want to get into a relationship, you'd be a fool if you just sit around waiting for the one guy that you went on a date with 3 weeks ago to call you back for a second date or a third date. We also know from personal experience as women that having sex on a first, second, or even third date is not going to secure a relationship, even though that's what the guy wanted. Because guys make no sense. Y'all talk about women not making sense. Y'all don't either. Y'all will beg women to sleep with you and make it seem like, oh, if we do this, we'll get a relationship. Then you trick us, leave us high and dry, and then we get clowned and called a whore for falling for your baits and tricks. Make it make sense. So, whatever, I'm going into a circle talking about this. I'm done. So much more can be said, but I just felt like I really wanted to make a video about that because I thought that was such a stupid thing. And it's so funny that nobody that watches his content seems to see his advice contradicts stuff. Let me give one more example. This is off subject. He did a video a little while ago too, where he was talking about, this girl had called in and was talking about how she's having trouble finding a relationship and how she lives in Atlanta, whatever. And she said that, it was a white woman too, how when she tried to approach these guys, presumably black, that they basically told her, like, declined us, that they had no interest. And so he was saying, oh, you're an attractive woman, blah, blah, blah. And so he literally directly said, well, these guys must be gay. And I saw a couple people in the comments like, oh, why does he have to be gay, whatever. But almost everybody was in agreement. And I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, that doesn't even match your own previous advice. So now, for the first time, I'm disagreeing with you in favor of men. A guy rejecting you doesn't make him gay, just like a woman rejecting you as a man doesn't make her a lesbian either. You have the right to have your own taste. Maybe he doesn't like white girls, like how she probably expected him to because he was a black man. He stereotypically must have wanted to have a snow bunny. Sorry, but just because you're white doesn't mean you're attractive to every black man. And sorry, just because you are an attractive person doesn't mean that everybody else finds you attractive either. He probably saw you as being arrogant, having an ego, whatever the case is, didn't take you seriously, probably thought you just want to experience having some big black dick, whatever the case might be, type thing. Doesn't make the person gay because they live in Atlanta. What? Like, what if somebody said that about you? You give all of this advice about dating, dating men and modern whatever type thing. You ain't even got no girlfriend. And you've done a lot of questionable gay things on your channel, which you get mad people say that. But then you just gave advice where you were questioning a dude's sexuality because he rejected a girl. Yes, men like it when women approach them, but just because a girl approaches you as a man doesn't mean you have to like her instantly, or else you don't have balls all of a sudden. So, whatever. But this is the man that they love. So, it amazes me that, sorry, I gotta adjust myself. People don't know how to think for themselves. They just, go ahead and go along with whatever this man says, even although 99% of the people watching his content, not only are they not high value men, but they're men making less than average, I'm sure. So, the advice doesn't even apply to you because a lot of you guys aren't average height. You don't make average money. Nothing about you is what a woman wants. Y'all come with kids, baggage, divorce, everything else. And we as women, according to Kevin Samuels, we should be grateful just to have a husband because that should be the be-all, end-all. That and having children. Okay. So, his advice literally makes no sense. So again, with some things, I'm in agreement with him. Well, that's a good point. But then with other things, it's like, okay, you focus so much on the idea of what a so-called modern woman is, but you haven't taken into account that men have changed over time too. For example, a lot of the men, they don't like the idea of having to pay for everything. They like the idea of 50-50. But then they want a woman that does all of the housework and everything else too, and supposed to look good, etc. For a bum dude making average to no money. And then that too, he constantly talks about how you should be submissive and feminine without needing a relationship or commitment. But then at the same time, he also gives that advice. Says, men should have to spend money on you or do anything that a man is supposed to do, anything that women find attractive in a man, masculine in a man, without you being his girlfriend or wife. So we should do our job with no commitment, but you shouldn't have to do your job with no commitment. Interesting. Okay. So, whatever. I'm finished with this. Go ahead, argue with me in the comments. I know Kevin Samuels fans are going to be all over my pussy. That's fine. So thank you for the views. Thank you for the extra ad revenue. Appreciate you haters. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, dating multiple people is literally no different than filling out job applications. I didn't say sleep with everybody, but even then, it's like, if you're not in a relationship, you have the right to do whatever you want to. I'm not talking people that are playing guys to have sex or playing guys to have, dates that, end with meals or experiences or whatever. I'm not talking about that. But a girl genuinely going on a date multiple people a week until she finds someone, that's no different than seeing a matchmaker. A matchmaker not going to just find you one guy and be like, oh, here goes your match. Goodbye. Good luck. No. They're going to continuously show you new people, send you out on dates with new people several times until you find that person. This is no different than that. But instead of him admitting, oh, the guys are wrong for playing you, for tricking you, it becomes men shouldn't have to lie and hide and pretend like they don't want to have sex with you. And it becomes, you are a thief, you're using men for their resources. And then you try to compare your accusation of her using men for free meal tickets, which you don't know that. You try to compare that to guys getting free sex out of you, which doesn't talk about the free part, but just sex. Yeah. All right. So I'm officially done. I've said it 50 times. Go ahead, give me your 2 cents. Argue me in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like. Leave me a comment. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Comic95. You can add me on Snapchat at Comic the Savior, and you can also follow me on TikTok at Comic the Savior as well. I have a blog that you can read at comic95.com and a Facebook fan page at Comic95 the Savior. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for watching. Bye.